On May 16, 2023, Inter Milan secured their place in the club's first European final since 2010, after disposing of fiercest rivals AC Milan by an aggregate score of 3-0. The victory comes off the back of 4 straight wins in Serie A as well, meaning the Nerazzurri are getting red hot at the most crucial point of the season. And this is all thanks to a defense that's only conceded once in the last 5 games, a midfield full of underrated technicians, and an absolutely lethal striking force up top. Today we meet those players and break down why no one in Europe should be taking Simone Inzaghi's men lightly, as we dare to ask, can Inter Milan win the Champions League? Welcome back, guys. You're watching the Sideline Starters, and my name is Andy, first team all sideline. Guys, we're almost at 4,000 subscribers, so make sure to sub if you're new and smash the like button. And once you've done that, let's get started. Italian clubs have always been methodical when it comes to their tactics. From the days of Inter's Catenaccio, Trapattoni's Zona Mista, and Antonio Conte's 3-5-2, Italian football has always asked us to think of the sport as an intellectual exercise just as much as a physical one. So before we dissect Simone Inzaghi's 11, let's first lay out the fundamentals of his preferred shape as best we can. In attack, Inzaghi sets his team up in a 3-5-2, in a system that features a keeper and 3 center backs who are all comfortable in build-up play, a regista or deep-lying playmaker in front of them, 2 well-rounded mezzalas to their side, dynamic wing-backs with world-class service and attacking ability, and a pair of poachers ready to pounce on that service. While in defense, the fullbacks drop deeper as the team resembles a 5-3-2. Now let's put some names to those faces, starting at the back. Cameroonian goalkeeper Andre Onana is arguably the most important part of Inter's entire defense. As a former Barcelona youth product and stalwart of Erik ten Hag's recently brilliant Ajax side, Onana has developed into one of the world's finest goalkeepers with the ball at his feet. He's basically an outfield player with gloves on, as he possesses the impeccable passing range of a midfielder and is absolutely crucial in Inter's build-up play. Ederson and Alisson might get all the credit for ushering in this new era of goalkeeping, but as it stands, Andre Onana is the best ball-playing keeper left in the Champions League. And don't look at me, look at the numbers. He completely dominates his fellow semi-finalists in attempted passes, but what's even more impressive is that he's also miles clear of everyone else when it comes to completed launches, which is just a term we use for passes that are longer than 40 yards. Now, usually keepers that are great on the ball are compensating for their subpar shot-stopping ability, but that isn't the case with Onana whatsoever, as Andre leads the entire competition in both total saves and clean sheets. Literally, what more could you ask for? Anything Inter hope to accomplish begins with Onana, who then looks to involve the 3 center backs in front of him, which as of late includes Italy's miracle story Francesco Acerbi, former right back Matteo Darmian, and 24-year-old youngster Alessandro Bastoni. Acerbi is one of football's feel-good stories. Having initially failed to replace Alessandro Nesta during his time with Milan, he moved to Sassuolo, where he became a club hero after overcoming testicular cancer complications twice. He would then move to Lazio in 2018, where he enjoyed the best seasons of his career under his first spell with Simone Inzaghi. Now Inzaghi would leave Lazio to manage Inter in 2021, but distance only makes the heart grow fonder, as the two were reunited last summer at the start of the 22-23 campaign. And Acerbi has been Inter's most reliable center half since joining, appearing in more minutes than any of his teammates on defense across all competitions. He occupies Inter's spine as the guardian of their central areas, as demonstrated by his heat map here. His valuable experience and defensive discipline make him a perfect organizer of the back 3, but it's important to note that he isn't Inter's most offensive center half. That honor is reserved for the adventurous Alessandro Bastoni, as the 24-year-old has racked up 3 assists in 10 Champions League appearances so far. The 6'3" building possesses the size and strength of an old-school destroyer, but the incredible attacking ability of a modern-day fullback, which is essentially where Bastoni plays, as we see him dominate the left side of his heat map. He's an absolute artist when it comes to long ball distribution and can ping them in his sleep. Bastoni is well and truly in a league of his own when it comes to passing metrics, as we can see by looking at his percentiles for passes into the penalty area per 90, total crosses and assists. And despite his size, Bastoni is still able to carry the ball forward frequently and effectively with pace and composure. And since Inter overload their left side when attacking, right-sided center back Matteo Darmian is in charge of defensive dirty work. Originally a right back, the 33-year-old veteran has adopted a more central role since joining Inter in 2021. He gives the Nerazzurri the defensive cover that allows the rest of the team to be so offensive-minded, and his percentiles among center backs per 90 prove that, particularly when looking at his passes blocked per 90, total tackles, and dribblers challenged. Inter's back three works with Onana to create an impressively progressive defense, unafraid to build up from the back and keep possession, and Inter's passing quality only gets better as we move on to their midfield three. At the base of Inter's midfield three, we have their regista, Turkish international Hakan Çalhanoğlu. The skillful midfielder has always been famous for his lethal free kicks and absolutely ridiculous shooting ability from distance. But 4 seasons with AC Milan during their banter era didn't raise his global stock, which led to Inter signing him on a free transfer back in 2021, a move that's seen him elevate his game to another level, as Inter's deep-lying playmaker dictates the tempo and sprays long balls across the field at will. Now, registas don't typically rack up that many assists because they're operating in front of their back line, which is miles away from the opposition box. But Çalhanoğlu is such a freak when it comes to striking the ball that he takes all of Inter's set pieces, a responsibility that reveals itself immediately when we look at his percentiles for corner kicks, crosses, and dead ball passes, which has ultimately led to him racking up 8 assists across all competitions, which is second highest on the team. But registas almost always need midfield partners that can cover for their defensive limitations, which is where left-sided Metsala Enric Mkhitaryan comes into play. Now, I know that most of us remember Mkhitaryan as an attacker when he broke through with Dortmund, and that's the player United thought they were signing too. But the Armenian unfortunately never reached his full potential as a forward, but has performed much more consistently since adopting a deeper role upon arriving in Italy. Believe it or not, the Armenian actually leads the entire team in total tackles in the Champions League this season. And if that wasn't enough, no player on Inter's squad has registered more interceptions than Mkhitaryan across all competitions either. But just because he has more defensive responsibilities now doesn't mean that he can't chip in offensively too, as evident by his late run into the box to score Inter's second goal against Milan in the semis. Inter's most dangerous attacking threat from midfield, however, is Nicolo Barella, their right-sided Metsala and hands down the best midfielder in the squad. The 5'9" box-to-box engine is the first name on Inzaghi's team sheet, amassing significantly more minutes than his midfield partners across all competitions. The way Barella spearheads defensive transition and blitzes past opposition midfielders into the attacking third is second to none. And from there, Barella truly becomes a game changer, as he's racked up a total of 8 goals and 8 assists across all competitions, with that assist tally being second highest on the team. As Inter's most direct ball carrier, he leads the entire team in progressive ball carrying distance by a margin that's almost laughable. Barella and Mkhitaryan run from box to box so that Çalhanoğlu doesn't have to, and can instead focus on spreading the ball to Inter's wingbacks, who are among some of the most dangerous in all of Europe. You guys know that stay back while attacking tactic you can put on your fullbacks in FIFA? Well, that's completely non-existent when it comes to Inter's wingbacks. And that's because the only thing Inzaghi asks Federico Dimarco and Denzel Dumfries to do is attack, attack, and attack. Especially on that left side, where we find Dimarco, a player so creative that it's actually unfair to compare him to other defenders. The man has more assists than Kevin De Bruyne does in the Champions League and is only behind Vinicius Jr. for the top spot, with one of those assists setting up the Mkhitaryan goal against Milan we mentioned earlier. Now, he's not Theo Hernandez levels of rapid, so he's not too worried about beating players on the ground. No, Dimarco chooses to beat them in the sky instead, as he's one of world football's crossing specialists. When compared to the rest of the team, he whips in over 36% more crosses than Çalhanoğlu, who's literally the team's corner kick taker, and 159% more crosses than Dumfries, his wing-back partner. And that's because Dumfries' job is to arrive late in the box and use his 6'2" frame to get on the end of those crosses, as evidenced by him ranking in the 99th percentile for touches in the opposition penalty area, and 95th for both carries into the penalty area and aerial duels won per 90. Inter's wingbacks are so offensively committed that they're basically at rock bottom for both tackles and interceptions amongst fullbacks per 90. The partnership are so in sync going forward that sometimes they even wind up assisting each other. But when they aren't assisting each other, Inter's wingbacks are much more busy aiming at a deadly duo up top. While most of modern football prefers to rely on a single striker as the focal point of their attack, Simone Inzaghi practices a different philosophy entirely, as nimble Argentine Lautaro Martinez is paired up top with either Edin Dzeko or Romelu Lukaku. Let's start with the South American. He's been the team's best player over the last 3 seasons and is following in the footsteps of Inter's impressive list of Argentine strikers. Martinez leads the team in so many categories that I almost lost count, starting with total goals across all competitions, and productivity like that ultimately results in him playing 150 more minutes than anyone else on the entire squad. He's a technically brilliant striker and has elite poaching instincts, and despite only being 5'9", he's decent in the air too, and has Carlos Tevez-like strength on the ball. But the real muscle on the team can be found in his partners, Edin Dzeko and Romelu Lukaku. The Bosnian and Belgian duo have both eclipsed double-digit goal tallies this season, and are each nearing 20-plus total goal contributions too. Both strikers use their ridiculous strength and size to overwhelm defenders inside the box, while also turning their back away from goal and holding up play outside of it. And while Lukaku's pace, athleticism, and ludicrous goal-scoring return since the age of 18 has garnered him a global reputation, it's actually been Dzeko that stepped up for Inter in the Champions League this season, scoring a team-high 4 goals and assisting once in 11 appearances. And before we wrap up, I just gotta mention Marcelo Brozovic. The Croatian is Inter Milan's second regista and is an incredibly underrated genius in the midfield in his own right, as well as Milan Skriniar and Stefan de Vrij, the more defensively sound center-half options at Inzaghi's disposal. And that's all she wrote. Those are Inter Milan's most important players. A well-oiled offensive group that seems to finally be finding consistent form again, as the underdogs approach the possibility of shocking the world by winning the most prestigious competition in all of Europe, the Champions League. And that's all I got for today, everyone. Don't forget to comment, subscribe, and smash that like button. And if you want to keep going down the football wormhole, you can click right here. Thanks for watching, everyone. Till next time.